Woohoo!
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll probably have more people join. So you may hear these announcements more than once, but we'll do them now. First thing, just a couple of things that I know those of you that are faithful to these Zoom trainings, you hear this all the time, but it's really important that we make sure that you are getting this information. The first thing is that be sure that when you're taking your dog out, that they are clean and groomed, that you're not taking them out with little poop on their back end or, you know, dirty, smelly ears or whatever, or that they don't have like their Grinch feet have been cut and the bottom of their pads have been, the hair, just all of those things matter. I noticed that Kayak, so I'm going to try to show you a video of Kayak, but one of the reasons I think he was struggling was about a week ago is his pads, the hair had grown. I had cut them once, but it had grown back quickly. He's a puppy. And so he was sliding on the floor. So just be aware of that. I don't think that's such a big thing with labs. It's not so much with labs, I don't think, but it's huge with Goldens. So just be sure that you're just keeping them nice and trimmed, their feet. That's one of the only things you're supposed to trim is the front of their paw and underneath their pad, even with their pad. So just be aware of that. So that's the biggest thing. Take them out groomed. Also, please make sure that you remember that you have a New Horizons vest on and that you are representing the organization. When you're out there and people are seeing, that's the first, it's a nice bright green and yellow vest, and so people see it. So please be sure that you remember that you're representing New Horizons.
There's somebody that's just a number. Oh, there's going to be soon to be a pup raiser. Hey, Kirsten.
Oh, awesome. Nice. Very nice. Welcome. We're glad you're here. So you're going to get a puppy?
Yes. Yep. We actually went today to visit them, but we're going on vacation next week. So we're going to, when we come back on
one of the aviator litter, Olivia's pups.
Caitlin knows.
Yeah, it's
probably yes, because it's Linden or
Lindbergh. Oh, neat.
Lindbergh.
Awesome.
See, I gotta get it right. Yes.
Well, congratulations. We're excited. You have a great support team here. If you need people, we're here. Yeah. Okay. So that leads me to the other thing. If you have a medical issue with your dog and you're really not sure what to do, call the office. Call the office. You can, if it's not major, you can ask it on the Friends page on Facebook. In fact, if you're not on the Friends page on Facebook, please friend somebody who is so we can invite you. There's a couple of us that are on there, and that's a private page for raisers and recipients, and breeder caretakers. So we want to make sure that if you're on Facebook and you use it, that you get on that page because it's a nice resource. But if it's a medical problem, your dog is throwing up, your dog is pooping, or has diarrhea, or they have a temperature, please, 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 please call the office. That's your first line of defense. And they will help you.
The Facebook Messenger group, is that linked to the Friends Who Like New Horizons, or is that a separate thing?
That's separate, yes.
Who has people join that? Because I have a list of some people that need to join. Who do I give that to?
So we usually only have people join it if they live in the area, because it's more of a, if you live in like Lake Mary, Sanford, Altamont, that area, just Orlando, because it's like a pickup food and a pickup medicine. If they're in West Palm, or it doesn't make sense. It just,
I've got some new local puppy raisers.
Okay, so I'd let Laura know.
Yeah, okay. Give me the names, Caitlin.
Okay.
So first line of defense for medicine or for sickness, illness is the office. If you have a training question, and you know how to get a hold of Laura or myself, we are more than happy to help you. It's not something you necessarily need to call the office for. If you don't have our numbers, we usually put them in the chat. And we try to just kind of help the office out in regards to that, if it's a training question. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cell phone number in the chat now so I don't forget.
And I put mine as well, my email and my phone number.
So you have a training question, you're having an issue, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to help. We want to make you successful. We want to make you so you keep doing this. And one of those ways is if you don't become frustrated. I know a lot of you have some puppies. So we really want to make sure that you are getting started with those puppies, like literally as soon as you come home. Come home and the training, it begins. You don't have to wait till they're 12 weeks old or 16 weeks old. The training should begin day one.
But don't go, oh my gosh, I have to be training my dog. You're training your dog when you're getting your dog to come to you, when you're calling their name and they're coming to you. Yes, good job. Good, Shaggy. That's the beginning of teaching come. Their name with it, you say their name and they look up. Yes, good. And those markers, yes, that's it, good, are ones to be sure to be using a lot with your pups. You can start sit, you can start down, you can start wait. They should be sitting and waiting for their food from the first time you get them. So you are literally, they'll, if you hold the bowl up above them, they will sit. And then you may have to put your hand on their chest. You may have to hold them by the scruff to get them to wait, but they wait moments. Pause their little trembling bodies, and over a week, they're sitting and waiting. Right now, Shaggy's like, okay, there's the food. And I have to actually step away from the crate for him to go, oh, okay, I'm going to go in and get it now. That's the craziest thing. But he's got sit and wait. So those little ones are just, you're starting. You're not spending 30 minutes of concentrated time, but every time you call them, use the kibble, use part of their breakfast or their lunch or their supper in your pocket. And if they're following you from room to room, good. And you're not telling them heel, you're not telling them side, but they're getting a reward for being right there with you. And that will translate into heel and side down the road. Again, not a training session, but opportunities to reinforce behaviors that we want to see those dogs have as they go along.
Yes.
Leash
and that's
training.
with the puppies. I mean,
Yeah,
that's with all the dogs, but the puppies especially. You have to start from day one.
Several with 13-week-old, 12-week-old new pups on tonight. That's why I was kind of pushing that a little bit. Leash training. If you can get a leash on them and let them drag it around with them, just so they get used to it. Oh, okay. As soon as I put a leash on Shaggy, he's like, what? Huh?
Yep.
What? And then we have to do the, oh, come, Shaggy. And then he'll decide to come. But leash training is a work in progress. So start it now before they're old enough to go out in public at 16 weeks.
Yep. So
by the time they are at 16 weeks, they're accustomed to the leash.
Yep. Your brand new puppy. Go ahead.
They may not be perfect in terms of a loose leash or whatever, but they're not going, I don't know. Oh, leash. They've got the idea.
Your brand new puppy is not going to be collar and leash trained when you bring them home. It's going to take time. So normally what I do is I let the puppy follow me around everywhere I go. We go outside to go potty. I just let them follow me. And usually by the 3rd or 4th or 5th day, then I'll put the collar on them and just let them wear the collar. And then I'll start to do, after week or so, then I'll do what Laura said, and I'll put the collar on, the leash on them, and let them drag the leash around. And at first they're like, whoa, what is that thing? But after a little bit, they kind of get used to it. And then we start to go out for walks. You're not going to be able to take them for a walk, a leash and collar walk, or most of them, let's not say every dog, but most puppies, you cannot bring them home at 8 weeks and expect them to go on a walk with you with their leash and collar, because they're just not used to it. So just be mindful of that you give them time, some time to acclimate. Okay, so we are talking about stay, and we are also talking about muling, which we've not really called it that, but that's what it is. I experienced it with Kayak this last week. And so I didn't raise Kayak from a puppy. I got him he turned 6 months old and I got him. And so he's been traveling with us since, and I've been really working on the basics. So making him sit and wait for his food. And so the word we use when we let them go to eat is not okay, it's release. So they sit, you hold them back. Some of the puppies you're going to definitely have to hold back, and that'll take a couple of weeks for them to understand that they have to wait. And also I usually have the dog sit and wait, and I'll say, watch me. So watch me is another command we're really working on all of our dogs knowing, because I know I am at fault with it too. I use look. I'll say, look, and Kayak will look, and I'll be like, I mean, watch me. Just because look is used with our retrieval. We tell the dog to look, because dogs are one of the only animals you can tell them to look at something, and they will. So they look at the object, and then you have them get it. It's the retrieval sequence. So look is not a word we say to get them to look at us. That word is watch me. And it's super important. Watch me can literally save a dog's life if they know it and they do it well. So the day one I brought Kayak home, I started him, but he was 6 months at that point. And now he's doing it a lot of places. We'll go, he'll just look at me. Hey, excuse me for a moment. What are you doing, buddy? Oh, it's nothing. Leave it. It's a bug. So watch me is a real important command that we have that they do. And watch me is just, you say, watch me, and they look at you. They check in with you. And you can keep their attention. Very often I use food. Sometimes I don't, getting to the point with Kayak where I'm not using food, and I'll do it like every other time. So regarding treats, if they're puppies, treats should be intermittent. So maybe every time, every other time, every 3 times. With our older dogs, it should be sparingly intermittent. And with our dogs that have come out of prison, if they're 18 months or older, we should not have to be using treats hardly at all. A lot of our
lab.
Right. And it really depends on the skill that you're working on with them. A lot of our dogs come out of prison and they really should not have to be using treats, but that doesn't go with everybody. The goal is to get them to where they're not. So if you're at the 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks thing, you're using treats fairly regularly. As the dog gets older, you're starting to pull them away every second time, every 5th time, just so you're aware that we're not training with treats all the way up through when they leave you. We're trying to pull them away a little bit. And it depends on the skill you're working on. Your dog may need for certain skills to use a treat, but a lot of it can be your voice, your positiveness, your yes, good job, using your markers. So with that said, Laura, I'm going to see if we can use this video.
Okay. You want me to look and see if it's coming in my email?
You can look, and I'll look too, and see if it even comes up. So this video is a video of Kayak when we went to Walmart recently. And
I've got it.
okay, did it come up?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Kristen is on by phone. What dog does Kristen have? And Taylor Stetson is on, but I don't have a dog name with her.
Taylor has Tangelo, I think. I think she has Tangelo.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. This is Kristen. I have Blue Bonnet. She's a breeder.
Oh,
Thank you, Kristen.
Okay, so Laura, I got it. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. It loaded. Okay, so let me
Go.
just explain this video a little bit. Kayak was at Walmart, and I wouldn't say it was the first time we were at a store, but I would say we're not going in stores as consistent as I used to. So we went into Walmart, and my daughter had actually taken him to a Target the night before for just a quick trip. And she said, Mom, he muled a little bit. I said, okay, all right, well. So the next day, took him into Walmart, and muling is just where they stop and they refuse to move forward. And then you've got to figure out, you're not going to drag them by the leash. You're not going to yell at them. You're not going to do anything that would necessarily draw attention to you, although he drew a lot of attention because he wasn't moving. But you've got to do something to get this dog to get up and get through the store. And my husband was like, why don't you just take him back out to the truck? I'm like, no, he is not winning. So I'll show you the video and then we'll kind of have a discussion about it. Hopefully the volume is working. Okay. So right here, he has stopped. He won't move. I'm trying to coax him. I have treats. He's not moving, and he just stops. And we're literally in the middle of an aisle. Then he lays down.
Then he checks out the watermelons.
And then we're laying down again. Oh, so yeah, that was interesting. That was probably a 30-minute visit to Walmart. I mean, the entire time that my husband and daughter were shopping, I was working with the dog. I did not help shop at all. He continued. When we first walked, he walked in the store with me, okay, and as soon as we got inside, he laid down. And the Walmart workers said, oh, he's so cute. I said, no, not right now. He is not cute. And so I kind of explained to them what I was doing, and they recognized his vest like as in training. But the whole muling thing is, for whatever reason, they don't want to move forward. I haven't dealt with that with a dog in a long time. So I really had to bring out my markers, my high voice, my high pitches, just yes, yes, come on. I mean, literally, I was doing that through the whole store. He muled a lot more than what I showed, but what you saw was what he did every single time. I did have treats with me. They sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. That's why I say, if you can get used to working with your dog on and off without treats, because sometimes treats will not work. For Kayak that day, they were not a big one. It was more my voice and how we were connecting. He's just learning. I've had him 3 weeks. He's just learning to really trust me. Do you have me? Are you going to take care of me? Do you have this? Like, we're just developing that relationship. So, and at the end, when you see me running, I'm running because he's going with me and I'm in front of him at that point because I'm just trying to get him out to the store. As soon as we got outside, he stopped again. And then I had to again coax him. So yeah, so it is a thing. If it's happening with your dog, it can be worked through. And sometimes they don't do it and they don't do it and they do it. And then all of a sudden you'll go into a store and they do it. And you're like, what is going on? So I kind of knew that this might be an issue with Kayak. And I just took that 30 minutes to really work with him. I ignored everybody around me. I ignored my husband saying, are you going to help us? Nope, working with the dog. And we just continued to work with that. Today, I took him to Kroger's, way better. He muled a little bit, hardly at all. Just was marching along with me. So I know that one training session in Walmart with my patience, despite I literally was sweating. It was quite the traumatic event for both of us, but we got through it. I never yelled at him. I never raised my voice. I was always very calm and just, come on, yes, good boy, good job. And that's kind of how the whole session went. And when he would stop, I would just stand there. And sometimes I said nothing to him, except when we were on our way out, like I needed to go. And I was like, time to go now. So you have to figure out what works for your dog, but just know if they do that, it's not abnormal. It's fairly normal. Some dogs you'll never see it in. They just kind of go whenever they're supposed to go. Other dogs, they go through I would say a muling stage, and then you might never see it again.
Lauren mentioned that Canyon is doing it sometimes when loading, and I've even seen that with Bissell sometimes. Just out of the blue, he'll just decide, I really don't want to do this today. And I just have to convince him that, yes, he really does. It's hard, particularly right now when it's really hot. Because I don't want him standing there on the hot pavement. And so if at that point, if I can get him to up, I'll boost his butt in and get him off the hot pavement. But even older dogs will sometimes go, nah, I'm not feeling it right now.
Yes. So Lauren, how old is Canyon? Isn't he older than Kayak?
Just a little bit.
He just turned 4 months.
Oh, 4 months. Okay. No. So, okay. All
He's
right.
from Laredo's litter.
Yeah. I just
Okay.
noticed.
So yeah, he's younger. My bad.
Yeah, so he just started like loading, not completely on his own. So I'm like happy and proud of that because he got big enough to where he could actually reach to get in the car. So he has started loading, but it's like, going up to the car, he's been resistant since the beginning. And so when you just showed this, I was like, dang, that's exactly the thing that Canyon does. But then he also, like, there's been times when we've been out and he does the same thing and I kind of have to coax him, or every time I stop, he wants to completely and totally lay down. And I'm like, okay, come on. Let's
That's where high value treats are going to come in. I didn't have any high value with me that day. I just had the basic, whatever I normally, and just like crunchy. Sometimes I use with Kayak, the Pupperino really works with him. He loves little tiny pieces of that. He'll do almost anything. And regards to loading, so like Canyon, I would say is probably still not big enough to necessarily boost himself all the way in the car. Is that right?
No, so it's only been, I think he's done it like 3 or 4 times now. And when he was smaller, I would still like put his front paws up there, but he wasn't big enough to pull himself up. But now he is. The dude's gigantic.
So maybe he's ready also for a vest. Are you getting a vest sent to you?
That's an email I need to send.
Okay.
Yeah, his whatever bandana. Yeah, his collar is getting a little too tight too. I got to loosen it up. But yeah, he's actually pulling himself up into the car now. So yeah, we're good on that. And he's doing well with it. He hasn't, once I put his front paws up, he's pulling himself up. So, we'll keep progressing with that as we go and he gets a little bit bigger, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So something about loading. Every dog is different. Every dog. I just had to make sure my dog was still under the bench. He's so quiet. So with Kayak, I have a pretty high truck. And so I've been working on just having him put his, I know he can load because he's done it several times, but he does not do it consistently. I'm cutting him some slack, but I am not lifting the dog into the vehicle. That's one thing that's how we get it. So our dogs can't get into the vehicle is we lift them up. So for right now, some days Kayak decides, yep, I'm going to get right up there. No problem. And other days he's like, nope, I can only put my front paws up. On those days, I will pick up 1 foot and put 1 foot on the lower part of the truck, and then he'll boost himself back in. So see what works for your vehicle, but please, please do not be lifting your dogs into the vehicle unless they're babies. Even the babies, though, you can encourage at least to put up their front paws on something to just so they start to get the idea and just say load and then go, oh, and then just pop their little butts in. Everybody's vehicle is different. I realize that. Some of you load in the far back. Some of you are loading in that middle seat. And so you have to decide what works for you. But as your dog ages, please make sure that you are really encouraging them to load and not that you're picking them up and putting them in. Because we have had some dogs who have trouble loading because their raiser or whoever had them decided that they were going to help them in the vehicle every single time. So they really have to learn. And like I said, Kayak is one day he'll do it and the next day he won't. And so we're working on consistency. So any other questions about the muling? Sorry, Laura.
No, I was just going to say, we've heard from David about Andy's, and Andy's is coming out of prison. And Andy's, we watched him load right out of prison, but then he convinced David that, oh no, I can't load. So sometimes the older dogs will play you.
Yeah. Yep. Any other questions about the muling? Anything I did that you thought, gosh, I don't think you should do that, or any questions about what I did? If you noticed, I tried to do a lot of praising. I'm using my markers.
We couldn't hear anything, or I couldn't.
Oh. Okay, well, see, because there's part of it that's the pictures that's quiet, and then there was volume. Did anybody hear it?
No.
Okay, so
we're going to trust her that she was using her high squeaky voice and lots of positive reinforcement.
Yes, yeah, that sucks that you couldn't hear. Anyway, well, I did. I was using my high squeaky voice and just a lot of, yes, that's it. Good job. Good boy, to get him to, and he seems to respond well to that.
There was a conversation in the chat while you were showing the video and talking about muling, about access, and part of it will probably be the getting out of the bandana and into a vest. But our California crew was asking about, they've been asked for paperwork for their dog. And for those of you that weren't following the chat, there is no paperwork for a real service dog. If someone can produce a certificate that says, oh, look, I have a service dog, they bought it online. Right now, the clients are getting an ID card through Assistance Dogs International, but we as puppy raisers do not have that. In the chat and in your July newsletter, there is a link to the access laws in all of the states. And there are only 4 states in the US that do not have a law like Florida's that protects service dogs in training and we as and raisers. It's not ADA, that's federal, and that only applies to clients and their service animals. What protects us and gives us access is a Florida statute. And the link that's there that says servicedogs.com, service animal and training laws, that link will take you to the laws in every single state. And I'm putting it back in. Only Hawaii, Washington State, Michigan, and somebody else that I can't remember do not have those kinds of laws. So if you're traveling and you're concerned about it, you might want to print them out ahead of time or just have that bookmarked on your phone so that if you are challenged, you can pull up the state statute and say, no, by state law, I have access with my service dog in training.
Yep. The other question that some of you might get from people when you're out is, oh, do you train, like owner train? We have a couple of owner trained, not very many, but the place that you can send them is to Assistance Dogs International. That website will give them information about all the states that have service dog organizations that they can contact. So New Horizons does not owner train for the most part. That's something that would go through the director, and it just doesn't happen very often. So when people say, oh, can you train my dog? Sorry. So I always direct people though to the Assistance Dogs International website. It's a great website to go and look at. That's where our accreditation comes from. And just so that, you know, people who ask questions are aware, that's the kind of the governing body. So what's next, Laura?
The command of the month is stay. And after seeing muling, you think, well, he was just doing a really good stay. Well, if she'd told him to stay, yes, he was. But the command we're going to work on with our dogs, whether they're puppies or our older dogs, and with the puppies, we might still be just waiting. We may not be to the stay point with the younger ones yet. Our older dogs should be able to stay. Remember the 4 Ds that determine how well they're staying. If you've got a younger dog, you want to decrease the distance. You have them stay where they can see you. You're really close. Once they're doing that at 80%, then you move on to a little further away. Distance, distraction, decreased cues. It's a quiz and I'm failing. Distance, distractions, decreased cues.
Difficulty. I
Thank
remember
you.
Sean
Yes.
saying
Yes.
difficulty and distractions, duration.
Duration. That was the one I didn't have. Distractions, distance, duration, and decreased cues.
That's wrong.
Distractions,
Duration,
distance, duration, and
distance.
decreasing cues. So at first you might be using your hand to stay. That's a cue. Eventually you want to be able to tell them to stay with your hands in your pockets, and they just do it. They don't need to be reminded with your hand. They don't need to have a treat. Our older dogs, you should be able to walk around them with them maintaining either a down stay or a sit stay. And so you might want to practice that between now and our in-person training, because we're going to try to do some work with stay. We won't take them off lead because we'll be in a mall, but we will work with stay.
Okay, Laura, I've got duration, difficulty. Like the difficulty is supposed to be in the distractions, right?
Right. Difficulty isn't one.
No, but it's in the distraction, and then decreased cues. And what's the other one?
Distance.
Distance. Okay, I'm just typing it out so it goes out there. Okay.
Duration, distractions, decreased cues, and distance. Distractions make it really hard. They make it difficult. And if your dog is doing it 100% at home, take them out in the front yard and they lose their minds. It's like a whole new game because there's a whole new set of distractions. It's a whole new place. So when we go to a mall with its unique set of smells and textures and distractions, your dog that has been doing it perfectly at home may or may not perform perfectly in front of everybody in the world and at the mall. Don't freak. That doesn't mean you have failed, doesn't mean your dog has failed. It means we've increased the distractions to the point where the dog is like, okay, this is too much.
Right. Well, you saw with Kayak where he got very distracted just by watermelon. It must have been the smell, or there was something in that box that he smelled. That was one of the things that was a huge distraction for him that day. We walked past that a couple of times. The other thing today that was a scary distraction for him was the balloons. He saw a balloon probably 100 yards away and he barked, just one bark. And I was like, what? And I could tell he was looking at something. So we walked toward it. And as we walked toward it, I could tell he was like a little leery. And then I looked up and I saw the balloon. So I just took the balloon and I pulled it down and he kind of backed away. I didn't shove it in his face. I just said, oh, this is a balloon. They fly. I can see where they might be a little scary. And I stuck it back up wherever it was. Then we walked away. Then a few minutes later, I went back over and I got a smaller balloon that was like on a stick. And I took that out and I kind of, I bopped it against his nose and he was like wanting to smell it. And so I just went through that process with him. But his muling was much better. But the goal is to always kind of work through those with them. And distractions can be anything that causes them not to work or not to listen to your commands.
Okay, so when we talk about stay, duration with a little one, it's just minutes, seconds at first, 30 seconds. If they can stay 30 seconds, yay, it's a party. And you work up. If you're close and short distance and no distractions and you're using your cues, that's step one. Don't try to change all of those things. If you're going to change something, you're going to change just the distance. If you've been doing 3 feet away for 30 seconds, then the next time you want to try 5 feet away for 30 seconds. Don't try to do 5 feet away for a minute, because that's 2 things and that's going to make it extra hard for them. Change one of those D's at a time. That makes sense?
Yep. Also, on the Facebook, on the Friends of New Horizons Facebook page, which most of you I think are on, if you can't do it from your phone, you can't access it from your phone. The page you can, but this particular thing, if you go on your computer on Facebook, there are videos, and there are a million videos on there. But if you go through and try, there are some training videos where some of us have shared different trainings with our dogs. And so if you're looking for them, you can find them under videos on the Facebook page, but you have to do it from your computer. I've tried to do it from my phone. You do it from your phone, great, but I don't think you can access them through your phone. So just to make you aware that there are quite a few training videos.
And each of the past newsletters, there's going to be a training video that goes along with whatever the command of the month was. So if you've got those in a file somewhere, you can refer to those as well.
We're really working hard at getting everybody on the same page in regards to using the commands, making sure everybody's crated, making sure that, not everybody, but every dog, making sure that the dogs are loading properly in vehicles. All of those things are really working hard at getting every raiser on the same page so that they understand the commands and know them, and 2, they're following through with them. So if you're a new raiser and you're not crating your dog, or you didn't know that that was a thing, crating your dog is super important. So somebody was on here a couple months ago and said, well, I work during the day. What if I crate the dog during the day and not at night? If that's what works for you, that's fine. But the dog must be crated at some point during the day or the night. So for me, right now, I'm with my dogs all day and Kayak gets crated at night. So just be sure that they're getting an opportunity. Some of you I know leave your crates open and your dog walks in and out of them. Right now, Kayak is not at a point where he would go in his crate all by himself. He has to be very much encouraged, but I do have dog. Quinn actually slept in his crate recently. So just know that we're just working hard at getting everybody to do, everybody to know their commands. So if you've not received a manual, a puppy training manual, please make sure, and I say puppy being 0 or 8 weeks to 2.5 or 3, however old your dog is, just making sure that we're all doing the same thing so that when that dog gets passed from place to place to place, it's not, that you're not speaking a different language. We're all speaking the same language and attempting, our dogs are not going to have all the same experiences, but we can make sure that they are experiencing the same commands and a lot of the same rules. So rules being the dogs can't go on a couch or shouldn't be on a couch. Please make sure if you're allowing your dog, now Kayak well, I don't have a couch really right now, but when I did have a couch at my daughter's, I was at my daughter's for about 4 nights and he would come in the house and he'd jump right up on the couch. And I'm like, dude. And so we off, and I did that over and over again. Okay, Kayak off. And finally he got it, but I did think he just thought, oh, that looks like enough soft place to sit next to you. So
He was so bad with us with that because Siri lives on the couch. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was all the time telling him, and he was peeing on it too. So that was fun.
He's not doing that. I've not had one accident with him, but he did like the couch. And it only took me probably 10 times of telling him off consistently that he was like, oh, okay. Because my daughter does allow her dog on the couch, which is fine. That's her house. But Kayak is not. And so he got it. He eventually understood that he could go on the ottoman, and that was the only thing he could go on. He was not allowed, and they have 3 couches. So just being consistent. That's a lot of what this training is, being consistent. Not one day letting them on the couch and then the next day saying no, off, and then the next day letting them on again. So really consistency.
Does a dog ever have to learn at any point to be crated in the car?
So when they get transported, Steve, they do get crated. So they get transported from New Horizons to prison or from prison to New Horizons. Yes, they do. So
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say they have to that you have to put your crate in the car. I mean, you can, that would be a great thing for them, and to transport them in the car in a crate. But I personally only have done that a few times. So,
Okay.
but that is the goal, that they don't ever get used to not being in the crate, because they
Right.
do get more in their transport, and when they're in prison, they're crated.
Okay.
I have a quick question about the 4th of July and how your dogs did and what you did to get them through the fireworks. I'm seeing a few thumbs up for the faces that are visible. Some of our puppy folks have had potty runs, and so we've lost some of them. But we didn't get the newsletter out except that weekend to the friends page. So I was hoping that you'd have some of those things to help you get through it. Bissell was talking Shaggy through it. Shaggy was not a fan of the fireworks. Big time slinking, tucking his tail, looking for under a chair, under a table. He was really uncomfortable. So I brought him in. We had some lap time, and I put him in the crate with Bissell with music on. And Bissell talked him through it, and they slept through the night, even though it was still popping around us. Not if you don't have that second dog, you kind of have to be their support system. But it wasn't, oh, poor baby. Oh, don't be scared.
Right.
It was, yep, boy, that's loud. Uh-huh. Okay, let's do this. And here's a good. I'm seeing barked and barked. Yeah, the other two barks. If other dogs are barking, yeah, it's really hard not to get them too, because they're going to chime in. Bissell doesn't like it. He reacted with a, whoa, what was that? To the first big ones. After that, he was like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is loud, but nothing bad happens. So if nothing bad happens and you're just matter of fact about it, yeah. If they're comfortable but not freaking, uncomfortable but not freaking, we'll take that, particularly this first time. It's not something that they get exposed to often. So you might put it on, put fire. If your dog had trouble, like I'm going to try to find the recordings, the YouTubes of Melbourne's fireworks and put the volume up and play it some. We're going to try to do some, go down toward Disney, but not into Disney, so where they can hear them from a distance, to continue that so they don't have to wait till next 4th of July to experience fireworks again.
Yep. You can try that with any noise. There's fire engine, there's police cars, there's a variety of sounds that the dog may hear that you can just put on. You could try it through your Alexa or your Google, see if she'll play. I never thought about that. I'm going to try that. Or YouTube is good too. Just have them play the sound. So I used to get fire engine sounds and police car sounds and just play them on my computer so that they could hear them, because we don't, unless you live in a neighborhood who you hear that often, the dogs don't get to hear it. And the first time they do, sometimes they're surprised by it. Those of you that had the opportunity to go to a fire station, I know that's kind of the plan in the fall to hit another one. Who was the dog we had, Laura, at the fire station we went to in DeLand?
Who was so scared at first, but
Yes.
he came so far.
Yes.
I don't remember the specific dog.
I might have been Cassian. It might have been Cassian, because I know she was there. He was there that day. But yeah, so just so you're aware, if you can come up with some videos that have great sounds like that, it's great exposure. Just sitting in your living room, letting your dog in a safe place listen to those sounds. I see Baldasta did great. Deleon was great. Yeah, and Kayak did great as well. We actually were outside walking when they started, and he just kind of looked around like, oh, wonder what that is. And he was fine.
No, Shaggy was like, I can't even pee. I just need to go inside. I need to go inside where it's safe.
Yeah. Yep. Laura, I don't know if you saw that, but Lauren said she did not receive the newsletter.
I see that. I'm looking for the link to it.
Okay.
This Saturday at 10 o'clock is Buddy Break. If you haven't done Buddy Break before, it is an opportunity for exposures to running children, clapping, musical instruments, hula hoops, bouncing balls. It's kind of our target population too. So it is respite care for disabled kids, so their parents, their caregivers can have a couple hours break. It's at Church in the Sun on John Young Parkway, and the address is on Facebook, and I will put it again now that we have some new people on there. Our in-person training is going to be on the 16th, which is the next Saturday. We're going to be down at Mall of Millennia. So if you're on the south side of things, we'll hope to see you. If you're not on the south side, this one might be too far. We get that. That's why we try to move them around so that they're convenient for somebody. Not everybody all the time, but somebody some of the time. And then the 19th will be our Q&A back here on Zoom.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions? This isn't the Q&A, but if you had some quick, just kind of for the good of the group.
Where are we meeting at the Millennium Mall again?
There's an area right by the Cheesecake Factory. It's too hot to meet outside, but we'll meet just inside the entrance that's closest to the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay.
And if this is your first in-person training, whether you have a puppy or an older dog, just know that the dogs at first act like knuckleheads. They just do. There's all these dogs. They're excited. It's a different atmosphere. Just be aware of that.
And if your dog isn't 16 weeks old, if your dog has not had its full parvo shots and its rabies shot, don't worry about bringing your dog to this training this month. If you'd like to come just to kind of see what's going on, you're welcome. But Shaggy will not be coming to this one. I'll be bringing Bissell, but Shaggy's going to have to wait till next month.
I have a question.
Okay.
Because his birthday, their birthday's 3/23, right?
Mhm.
So 16 weeks should be 7/23, right? But it says for him to get rabies on 8/23 on his medical record. So it's kind of confusing.
Yes, because I think they do rabies at 5 months.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we do between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he can go to the August one though, not the July
Yes.
one.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Caitlin, you just gave my dog a shot of parvo. Is that all that's needed, or how old is my dog?
No, Daphne is part of who was just talking, and she's related to Shaggy, so she won't be going to this one then, I guess. So I gave
Okay.
you some slightly wrong information.
Okay.
We all do. We will all need a third parvo on this batch of pups. They're litter mates.
Okay. I was just looking forward to going for the cheesecake.
So,
Well, come
so
on.
you could still go, Steve. I mean, you could still go to the training and just see how it works, you know?
Okay. I'll keep it in mind.
Yep.
Yeah, because the more the merrier, and having an extra pair of hands that doesn't have a dog attached to it is sometimes really useful.
Okay, it's just, I'm not sure about leaving her that long because it'd be a quite a long time for the afternoon, but I'll keep it in mind.
Okay. Yeah, we're 10 to 12 on that Saturday morning.
Okay.
Anything else for the good of the group?
And I haven't forgotten you, Lauren. I'm just trying to get to the file. My laptop is struggling.
No worries, just whenever you have time.
Okay,
I'll
so
get it.
I'm gonna put my number again in the chat at the bottom. Oops, might be good if I put the correct number. So we said at the beginning, for anybody that missed it, if you have medical issues, anything you think is wrong with your dog, please call the office. If you have a training question, you can reach out to us. And if we can't answer your question, we'll either get an answer for you or we'll refer you to the office. But sometimes we're able to answer those training questions and just make it so that there's less phone calls going to the office regarding that. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can get a hold of both of us, Laura and I, by phone, by Facebook Messenger message, by email. So
Okay, I did get the newsletter file in the chat, and I can email it if you didn't get it, if you'll put your email in there, or you can email Caitlin in the office and she'll add you to the distribution. Like how I threw you that under that bus?
Lauren should be getting that, so I'm gonna have to look into that.
I got the link. It
Okay.
worked.
Laura,
Thank you.
what is the training? What's the training for July? The training command for July is stay?
It's stay.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we know what it's going to be for August?
I don't. Do you have one to suggest?
Let me think about it. So I was just going to just quickly go out with stay. Just be
Do we-
sure that your expectations are high for your dog, but not so high that they're going to fail. So you always want an end of training session, especially if you've spent 5 minutes, 10 minutes, specifically training that command, that you end with success. So if your dog can sit and stay and you can walk just a foot away from them and they do it, then yes, then really, so that should be all about praise. You can also treat them, but your praise and your treat have to follow as soon as you make them stay. So we also want to be sure our older dogs are waiting. And so wait and stay were always very confusing to me for a long time. I probably only really got it straight in my head in the last couple of years. So stay is a position you want them in for a time period. They have to stay. They're not to move, they're not to go down, they're just to stay. Wait is wait for a short amount.
Oops.
Is that correct, Laura? Am I saying
Yes.
it correctly? It doesn't
Yeah,
sound correct in my head.
wait is just an indeterminate. You're just going to hold.
Yeah, so your dogs, even if they're puppies, before you get them out of the car, you should be saying wait. And you may have to I still have to hold my hand up with Kayak. Wait. Sometimes he'll wait there, but sometimes I have to hold my hand up. So we want them waiting. We want them waiting at the door. We want them waiting for their food. We want them waiting at the car and before they get out of the car. Any place where you can think of going through any door, they should be waiting. So that those two commands are different, so that you understand that they're not the same command. They kind of do the same thing, but differently. So if I just confused you completely, I'm very sorry.
And somebody suggested make a friend for our command, and I'm going to say we're probably not going to do that one, because we're working very hard right now for the dogs to not make friends. What we're hearing from our clients and from the trainers is that the dogs are too accustomed to greeting people and being greeted by people. And so we're going to try to focus on not encouraging making friends and not doing that, particularly out in public like that this time. We will talk about them.
Call it not make a friend.
Yeah. Well, that walking past, that being able to just stand quietly while the handler greets somebody else who has a dog or greets someone else who doesn't have a dog, that's really important, where they don't pull toward the person or the dog. And that's something we could certainly practice.
Yep.
Katie's saying side and heel, and that might be something we'll look at because we haven't done those in a while.
Have we hit everything in the chat? I think so.
Yeah, I think so. There was a question about bringing meds to the in-person training, and it looks like Caitlin may bring them home from work with her, get them to me, and I'll bring them with me. So it looks like, yes, it's possible that you could pick up heartworm or flea and tick at in-person training on the 16th.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, somebody said push. Yeah. Debbie, that's a hard one. Yeah. Yeah, and that's, go ahead.
That's a hard one too for the youngers that haven't, we might have to divide out into older group and younger group, and maybe work on push with olders and work on tug with the youngers, because that's kind of the opposite side of that coin.
So with push and tug, I know it's the sequence where you would tug maybe the door open and then push it closed. But so tugging is easier, like you were saying, for me to get her to do, but she won't push back. So that's why I just suggested.
Yeah. So you can just start with a piece of blue tape on your hand, put a blue piece of tape on your hand, put it out and tell her push, and she'll put her nose on it just to see what it is. Even if she gets close, yes, but That's, yes. I mean, that's kind of how it starts. You can also get one of those, you know, the button things that make a noise, you know, the staples. I use those all the time. And I'll just put it up to Kayak's nose, push, and he feels it, you know? So there's a couple of different ways you can do that, just so that they maybe just hear the word.
Yep.
Because Latte will get that when she goes to prison.
She'll push doors open on her own, but she won't do it when I ask her to.
Man, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want through, I can push it open, but you tell me to, oh, no, I don't know that.
She also jumps up and opens the latch and then pushes the door open. So there's no privacy in our house.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. I had some dogs who did that. They just teach themselves. Yeah.
Mhm.
So be sure you're putting that on her evaluation, because that will be, you don't want to squelch that, you know, but you'll let, so that the next person who gets her knows that.
That she'll walk
It
in
is a
on
good,
you and-
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Believe it or not, it's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
It's like right now, Shaggy's picking up everything. And you just have to go, yes, good, get it. Oh, thank you. That's my phone. That's my glasses. That's my shoe.
Yes.
And it's all just happy voice while I put him back up on the where he can't get to him again.
Yep.
But that retrieve is so important that if you go, ah, when they get it, then they go, oh, I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And that can extinguish that retrieve and make it really hard to get it back. So yes, oh, thank you.
Right.
And then you scurry to pull it out of their sharp little puppy teeth.
Yes.
It is 8:03.
Yep.
And we are
At the end.
ready to blow this pop stand.
Yes. So thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for raising puppies. Thank you for raising our big dogs.
Welcome to the madness, Kirsten.
Yes. And we couldn't do it without you. So please reach out. If you have any questions, we're here. We want to help. We want you to feel successful. So let us know. And we will see you.
Yeah,
when-
don't hesitate.
Yep. Yep. What's the next training date, Laura? When is it? July.
July 16th, or
Okay.
the 9th is buddy break. The 16th is in person. The 19th is Q&A.
Okay. And that's in your newsletter.
Yep. And it'll be on the friends page. I'll do a reminder a couple days ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Be well.
Good night,
Bye.
all.
Thank you.